Alrighty, we are 2 weeks away from Halloween. On average, Americans buy 600 million pounds of candy a year. That is equivalent to the weight of 6 Titanic ships. And kids are not the only ones looking for that sweet Halloween goodness. A big question for parents: should you let your teens go trick-or-treating? And joining us today to talk about that is Dr. Sheryl Ziegler. Thanks for our parent expert, Sheryl Ziegler. Thanks for being here. So the question is pretty simple. Should we let teens go door to door?
Well, I say yes. Let teens go door to door. Let teens enjoy the spirit of dressing up and getting to be playful and do all of that. And interestingly, though, there was a little survey that was done on a lot of parents, and it was like almost half people thought teens should go, but there was about 20% to 25% that thought maybe 15 is the cutoff.
Yeah, teens is too broad a range,
yeah.
I think. I mean, you're talking teens, 12 to 19.
Yes.
So you think 15 is somewhere where you start to see the line?
Well, not for me.
Yeah.
I think because there's a couple of things. I think, first of all, because of the pandemic, these kids have lost out on 2 Halloweens in a lot of cases, right? So, and that's a big deal when you're a kid. So if you were 12, 13, 14 during the pandemic, you've missed out on that.
Yep.
I also think there's the piece of kids, sometimes they're a chronological age, but then developmentally they may have delays or disabilities. And I don't think we'd ever want to say there's some sort of age. I think that would be a horrible message. So I think we should be open to that. But I also think there's a lot of pressure and seriousness on our teenagers today. And so if there can be one day of the year where they actually dress up and they get into a good spirit and they are being playful and maybe staying out of trouble by going to other parties or doing other things, why not?
It's good not to judge.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good not to
I remember
judge.
back when John Mackey was playing tight end for the Colts. Halloween belonged to kids, and now it's really gone all the way through adults now. So I think it would be hard to draw lines for teenagers when you and your adult friends are having Halloween costume parties.
Absolutely. And, not every teen wants to dress up and go trick-or-treating door to door. But there's lots of other things that we can keep the spirit going with teens. They can be the ones passing out the candy. They can take their younger siblings. They can have, a movie marathon kind of night. They can have a little gathering, a party at their house. There's lots of other things. They can go to mazes, haunted houses. I think, though, in general, what we want to do is support playfulness in our teenagers.
And what happens if a child does have like that anxiety from going door to door? What can parents do?
Yeah, I think that is a really good point. There are a lot of kids that are either scared, they're scared of the decorations or the costumes, they have anxiety socially. So I think you can do a couple things. You can go to things like zoos and museums and botanic gardens that oftentimes have sort of trick-or-treating all day long. So you can go in the daytime, you don't have to go at night. And then there are sometimes other special programs in which they're sensitive to sensory issues.
Yep.
There's non-scary costumes as the norm there. So I think that if you do have a child that's in that range, you don't have to push them. And also don't say things like, it's no big deal, this is just pretend, right? That doesn't help someone who has anxiety.
What about when they come to the door? What can you do in that range as well? Obviously, when an 8-year-old child comes to your door, it's all going to be pretty light and fun.
Absolutely.
But when a 15 or 16-year-old comes to the door, how can you help in that situation?
Well, I think there's 2 things that come to mind. As a parent or as the person doing the giving out of candy, you want to do 2 things. One of them is it'd be really nice to have nut-free options. So just have your Skittles or your Starburst or some alternatives so that it doesn't have to be like, oh, well, do you have anything nut-free? That's a big issue right now. So that's one of them, is have a variety of choices. But the other piece is, might seem subtle, but instead of saying, oh, what are you dressed as, right? Just say, oh, tell me more about your costume.
Right.
Because there's a lot of kids who put a lot of effort into, and they think they look just like whatever it is. Yeah. And then, especially if you have any anxieties or social, reluctance, it's uncomfortable when someone says, oh, well, what are you? And they're like, I'm a pirate. You can't
And then they
tell.
feel disappointed that they didn't, that you didn't get it.
Exactly. So just say, oh, tell me more about your costume.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions that I think need answering. One is candy corn, good or bad?
Good.
Good. Mounds or Almond Joy?
Almond Joy.
Okay, yeah.
But that's because I can handle nuts.
But you're a parenting expert, so you know these things.
I'll be out there trick-or-treating. but not by myself. I got a 2-year-old little girl, so I use her by proxy.
Yes.
To get to the door. As
Quite
an
the
excuse.
harvest.
Oh, it's such a fun time.
Dr. Sheryl Ziegler, thanks as always.
Thank you.